The theme of many of our segments, this is really entertaining, lately, has been that Trump seems, if we didn't know better, it would seem like he's trying to sabotage his own campaign. The race is so close, and it could go either way, and at every turn, he's desperately trying to give Vice President Harris a leg up. And strategically, I think we could all agree, one thing that spending the limited time you have left in the final days before this election, as people every day are voting, maybe using time at rallies to wander yourself through the grievance you have about how you're not running against Biden anymore in this super wandering, rambling sort of way. It's gotten so repetitive that a crowd member, as Salt on X said, took matters into their own hands to keep Trump on message. I'll play this clip for you, then go over and show you what was happening on Fox News, where right during this time, this is the very beginning of the speech, they had already decided to cut away from it because showing these speeches to people is probably not helpful to Trump's campaign. While you're watching this clip, please remember to click the subscribe button. We're now so close to Election Day, and the goal has been for like a year now. What if we could get to 1 million subscribers by Election Day? You can make it happen to all those millions of people who watch the show who are unsubscribed. It's easy and free by just clicking the subscribe button. Here's Trump.
During their primaries, and then we're running against her. It's actually not fair to him. It's really not fair to him. That's no way. He's got the right. Who cares? Who said that? That's a great line. Who the hell said that? That's great. He goes, I'm going, I've become such a nice guy all of a sudden. I say, it's not fair to him. And this guy shouts out, who cares? Who the hell cares? Who cares about him? I guess he happens to be right. That's very good. Thank you for adding so much spice. That was a good line of stuff.
Now, on a lot of these things, I understand that I'm going to be biased in how I'm interpreting them. We've been watching one clip after another where Trump spends so much time at these rallies ranting about how it's so unfair that Biden's no longer the nominee and he's the one that people voted for, and Kamala Harris did a coup, and they threatened this and they threatened that, and it's so terrible, and Biden hates the Democratic Party and he hates Kamala Harris, and blah, 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 blah. And we spent millions, hundreds of millions of dollars running ads about Joe Biden and framing narratives about him, so now we wasted all that money. That's fraud on us. We should get our money back. And the MAGA interpretation of that moment is a sweet back and forth between Trump and his supporter, with the supporter saying, I don't care about Joe Biden's feelings, so who cares? The way I hear it is, who cares about Biden being wronged? And maybe the follower has in their head, you're running against Harris, so maybe you should focus on just running against her and not being so fixated on Biden, who, of course, Trump feels like he could have defeated more easily, and that it could go the wrong way in this election too, or in this matchup as well. But he definitely has never gotten over that. Even though before someone's nominated, it's perfectly possible for them to reject as the presumptive nomination, the nomination, and then what happens after that is that someone has to win over the delegates, which is what Harris did. Here was Fox News broadcasting this moment.
22 people, she was the first one to drop out. I guess that means she came in last. She never made it to the great state of Iowa during their primaries, and then we're running against her. It's actually not fair to him. It's really not fair to him. That's no way. He's got the right. Who cares? Who said that? That's a great line. Who the hell said that?
We are following Donald Trump in Warren, Michigan right now. He will be in Wisconsin tonight. So will Kamala Harris. In fact, they're speaking at event.
All right, and then that's going to be it for right at the beginning of this speech for broadcasting Trump as he can't, even days before, get off of how unfair he thinks everything was to Biden. What he really means is he wishes he were running against Biden for whatever reason, and he liked the attacks he levied that way, felt like they landed more or whatever. And the crowd member, again, thinking they're having a good old time, but a little truth is embedded in him screaming that, because that's sort of the crowd's. Often when Trump gets off on these things, the whole crowd's thinking, we don't really care. We just want you to talk about why we're supposed to hate Harris. We want you to lie about Harris. But no one really does care, even among his followers, about him acting as if he's concerned with fairness to Biden when obviously he's just wishing he were still running against Biden. Before getting back to Trump, here's Kamala Harris at this exact same time speaking in Wisconsin and saying this.
Well, and so as president, he promised that the auto industry would not, quote, lose one plant during his presidency. Then American auto manufacturers announced the closure of 6 auto plants when he was president. Janesville, you know what those closures mean for communities. Thousands of union jobs lost. Factory sites sitting empty for years. Other businesses in town then forced to close. So Wisconsin, you know all about Donald Trump's big, empty promises. He promised to stop offshoring. Then he cut taxes. He cut taxes for corporations that shipped 200,000 American jobs overseas during his presidency. And he promised to bring jobs back to the United States, like his promise that Foxconn was going to invest $10 billion and create 13,000 manufacturing jobs in Mount Pleasant. Do you remember that? He said Wisconsin would soon be home to a manufacturing plant that he called, again, Donald Trump language, the 8th wonder of the world. Yet another empty promise. Typical for a person that is all talk, no walk.
We have this split screen of, at the same time, Harris campaigning like you'd imagine a person, an adult, a politician, a person wanting to be president would do in the last days to an election, pointing to the policy failures of her opponent. In this speech, undoubtedly, she's going to be talking about the successes and her own proposals going forward, and doing so in a way that is concise and coherent. Then Trump, on the other side of that split screen, is doing whatever it is I've been showing you over the last few days. Making every campaign mistake, bringing a comedian who's going to insult a crucial voting bloc and just insult people, bad enough. Failing to get into a garbage truck and doing some of the most vile stuff, threatening the enemy from within at his rallies. And America's going, oh, it's a tough choice. I don't know which one we should go with. Very strange. If you need more convincing as to why Trump should lose, imagine never, ever having to deal with this stuff again.
Well, we're not going to have this too much longer. You know, we're winding down. 9 years we've been doing it, right? And now we're winding down, and hopefully we'll be.
And this is something Aaron Rupar said, don't threaten me with a good time. Exactly. Please wind this down. Please. But I know, again, with some of these points, MAGA has the response of, no, he just means the rallies. You're not going to be campaigning as much, and he likes campaigning, but obviously he's very much looking forward to being president. But I think the reason he keeps talking at rallies, he said that a few times, as to why it's such a sad, bittersweet moment, is because what he likes is the cheering crowds. What he wants is the notoriety. is that love that he clearly missed somewhere from people that will never fill the void. And he's not actually that excited about doing the presidenting. He'll love being president so that people treat him some type of way, so that he can enact retribution. But it's not like this is a wind up to the big part that he loves, because the campaign part where he's getting all of these cheers is going to be winding down. And to him, that's very sad. I can tell you Vice President Harris is counting the seconds until she no longer has to be going all over the place campaigning and instead can actually just do the job of getting things done. Then at a coffee shop appearance that Trump made in Warren, Michigan, he said this about his Liz Cheney remark.
Oh, yeah, sure. She's a war hawk. She kills people. She wanted to, even in my administration, she was pushing to go to war with everybody. And I said, if you ever gave her a rifle to do the fighting, if you ever do that, she wouldn't be doing too well, I will tell you right now. But she's a war hawk who wants to go kill people unnecessarily. And if she had to do it herself and she had to face the consequences of battle, she wouldn't be doing it. So it's easy for her to talk, but she wouldn't be doing it. She's actually a disgrace.
So obviously, any of Liz Cheney's stances on which wars we should be engaged in or should have been engaged in have nothing to do with her saying that's foreign policy. And that's something we all disagree on, and we can have those debates and those disagreements. I disagree with Liz Cheney's stances on certain things, foreign policy-wise, many things. But that's not why she supports Harris, so it's sort of irrelevant to bring up within the context of her support for Harris. Answer, Trump. Answer for this. Why you are being described correctly as someone who tried to and would put yourself above the Constitution. That's why Cheney, with all of her disagreements with Vice President Kamala Harris, including on foreign policy, she's endorsing her because she saw what you did in the lead up to and on January 6th. She saw you put together the fake elector scheme. She saw your attempt to keep yourself in power, even though you lost that election, and then heard you call for the termination of the Constitution on Truth Social after that. Talk about how the government should go after media outlets you don't like. That's what she's calling you out for, but you never address that because he can't. So it has to be, oh, she's a war hawk. An unrelated allegation to the one or to the subject matter of the endorsement from Cheney of Harris. And then he was being asked about this remark from Trump that has caused a bunch of controversy, where Trump says, as we already covered, she should be put in front of rifles. And the context of it, and I have seen that a lot of the clips don't give sort of the full context, which is still bad, but leading to some MAGA people saying, oh, this is completely not what he meant. But the full context is him saying, as you heard there, that if she were the one going to war, thus being put in front of rifles, then she would have a different stance on sending people to war. And that would be a stronger defense for the provocation of violence against Liz Cheney if he hadn't retruthed this already. MAGA, tell me the context that we're missing on this. Trump posted this. Elizabeth Lynn Cheney is guilty of treason. Retruth if you want televised military tribunals. Punishment for treason, MAGA loves to say, is death. Trump posted that. What are we missing on that, MAGA? What type of high-minded point about politicians being more willing to, which is a whole separate point we can address, which is true. Politicians, obviously, who don't understand the gravity of sending people to war, often can make those decisions less wisely because they don't tap into the humanity that's at stake there. But that's unrelated to the constant provocation of violence against Liz Cheney coming from Trump, which you see clearly and concisely in the choice Trump made to repost that image. And so his defense there and him trying to make this about Warhawk is weak. Let me know if you disagree with me in the comments. Support the show, get the members only bonus show by clicking that join button below.